You could take a Spanish lyric that's so thick with passion and love and romance, and you bring it to English, and in English it runs the risk of becoming cheesy. That morphed me into the kind of writer that plays right at the line of palatable passion.
When I say I love you, I mean I would pull every star from the sky down, or square up with any Goliath, or moonwalk it through any fire.
What up, y'all? I'm Dometi, and here in the studio at MTV is an artist with billions of streams, multiple Juno Awards, Grammy nomination, but what fans love most about her is her ability to be human in public. Her new album, Paid in Memories, is out right now. She bears her soul on every one of these records, and I'm so excited to talk to her. Jessie Reyez, welcome to MTV.
Thank you.
I should say welcome back. You were Push Artist back in the day, back in 2018.
Yeah, crazy. Oh, that's right, I was. Bananas. You know, one of those performances haunts me because my voice cracked live, and it rarely ever cracks. And it cracked live, yeah. But then a couple days later, I was at a festival and I ended up meeting Beyoncé that day. And she looked at me, she was like, "You killed it." And I was like, "What?" And she told me that she had seen it when I was the Push Artist and I was doing the 1 minute little performance clip. Yeah, she was like, "You killed it." And I was like, "Thank you." It was really sweet. But it's funny because that moment haunts me, but that moment also gave me a gift. So shout out MTV.
What did it feel like to have that affirmation from Beyonce
Nuts.
on a performance that hunts you?
Nuts.
Do you think she knows that probably was a moment?
Croak?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was clear on my face when she told me, because I was transparent about it. I was forthright. She was great. I was like, I croaked. And she said, that's better that way so that people know that you were doing it for real. And it's just transparent. It's no makeup. So, yeah, it was cool. But I love that. I love that philosophy, and I love being reminded of it, because you can't ever connect the dots forward. You can only connect them back. And everything has its purpose, and good things come from bad things sometimes.
That's a fact. You definitely connect the dots back with your album cover on Paid in Memories. You went back to 8th grade with this one. How did that idea to use that old picture come to mind for you?
I'm not a big fan of making concept projects. I more just like to create freely, and then the more you create, and when you gift yourself, or when your team gifts you with a timeline, then the project starts to coagulate, and then sometimes the project will tell you what it wants to be. And this was kind of one of those. You know, where slowly as I just continued forth, then the path cleared.
I was just telling you off camera about how much I love your live performances, because I've seen you take a room of thousands and make it feel like an intimate performance. How do you create that atmosphere? Like, what is your approach to live performance?
Now it's much more fluid. When I started performing, I remember my first ever festival gig, and it was Governor's Ball. And I was so nervous.
Really?
And beforehand, yeah, I used to dance a bit as a kid, so I had a little bit of experience performing random talent shows, but I was still very nervous about my singing. And so I'd look at the floor, I wouldn't be able to make eye contact, and there were just notes. And also, one of my older managers at the time was a b-boy, and his name's Mauricio Ruiz, and he would help coach me too, because he was a b-boy, and b-boys have to perform, and he'd be like, "No, you have to not be scared, make eye contact and make it a thing, and just don't be afraid of the eye contact." And it was a lot of those things that I applied, and on top of deconstructing performances of people that I looked up to, like watching a lot of live Beyoncé shows and live old Destiny's Child shows, and just seeing how moments within the show were created, and also being cognizant of where the camera is. And making eye contact, acknowledging the opportunity of the camera being its own person, you know? When I'm looking at the camera right now, I might be looking at a piece of, machinery, but subconsciously I know that eventually there's gonna be a consciousness that's looking right back at me. And I think I'm aware of that anytime that I'm communicating with anybody.
Sometimes it can be hard to separate the creative part of yourself when you don't feel like showing up, when you might not want to do the thing, but also remembering that, you know what, I'm ministering with my gift right now, and I have to reconnect with these people on the other side of that lens. How do you reconnect with that part of Jessie?
When things are rough?
Yeah.
It's been a learning curve, because I used to rely a lot on liquor to help me in those moments. And now that I'm sober, I do a lot of meditation, a lot of prayer. I journal every day, and I feel like that helps me. If you're doing it in a healthy way, it kind of ends up turning into a gratitude journal, if you can train yourself into that. You know what I mean? I'll make it a habit to end my journals with, but this was great, and but that was great, and but this and this and this, and and that I think just helps cultivate a better baseline for what I'm walking in with for the next day. Even right now, I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I ain't have no sleep. But everything in me is, but I'm grateful to be here, and I get to come in even though I'm tired, and I get instead of I have to, is such a hack. That shit is lit. And also I have a great team. I have a wonderful team that helps me stay cognizant of what a blessing this is, of what we're building and what we're doing, even when it's hard. So shout out Byron Wilson, shout out Jermaine Thomas, shout out Camila Bravo. I can list it all. But I got a really good squad.
Congratulations on Sober.
Thank you.
I love that. I love that. That's not a milestone to just let go by, man. For real. That's what's up. I want to get back to the album cover really quickly, though. I noticed you had a couple of redacted quotes on there. I'm not going to ask you what they are. I feel like the redactions are like a representation of having to keep some things back or holding some things for yourself. How do you know what to keep and what to share with the world?
This is in my Twitter bio. I like to sing about shit I don't like to talk about. I'm not really into like public relationships, not really into, it's in the music.
Right.
There's tea in the music.
You can piece it together.
Yeah, you can piece it together, but I don't really have an answer for you. I don't have a clear answer for you outside of that. Some stuff because of people I love, but in other ways, I don't know if it's a conscious thing that I do to say, this is for me, this is not. But for the album cover, it was because it was some wild.
What'd you say on that? Mind my business. Mind my business on that one. The ambition quote. You literally manifested the exact life that you're living right now.
Yeah.
When you look back at that quote, did you remember that you said that when you were in 8th grade?
No, I had no idea. And my cousin does, my cousin works back home, and he had a client that was like, oh, your little cousin, Jessie, went to school with my daughter, we have the old yearbook. And so they pulled it out, and he took a photo, and he was like, Jess, and he sent it to me. He's like, you're not gonna believe it. Shout out to my cousin Eddie. He's like, you're not gonna believe this. And he sent it to me, and I was like, that's bananas.
I'm about to manifest right now that your album is gonna go in the lineage of other albums that have had musicians depict younger versions of themselves.
Fire.
So that's something I would love for you to do with me.
Fire.
I thought about Illmatic, Nas, you got Ready to Die. That's not really B.I.G., but it's a baby depiction of B.I.G. You got the Carter 3 with Lil Wayne, Common, One Day a Law Makes Sense, Drake, Nothing Was the Same, and Good Kid, Mad City.
Right.
If you could rank these 6 albums for me, 1 through 6, where you putting them?
Okay, well, I'm Canadian. I'm born in Toronto, Canada, so by default, I'm very biased, and we're gonna put Aubrey Graham, number 1.
Okay, Nothing Was the Same up top.
And then we're gonna put Biggie.
Okay.
And then we're gonna
Number
put
3, we're putting
Weezy.
Weezy, the Carter 3.
We're gonna put Kenny there.
Uh-huh.
Little Kid, Mad City, and then we're gonna put Illmatic, and then Common Kid, and then Common Could Come In.
There we go, there
Yep.
we go, there we go.
So let me fuck in a field full of daisies till we both run dry. I wanna love you today.
Let's get into your music, man. Enough about other music. Let's get into your music. You kicked the album off with Never Said I Was Sane. Why kick it off with that record?
It feels like I'm doing this. And I always feel like that's a very great place to start in a project, so people understand that you're coming with my humanity, you know? My heart's in hands, and it's just what it is.
You got so many records, actually, whether it's Couldn't Be Me, where you kind of talk about resetting boundaries in relationships, right? Why was that important, and how do you think about that, especially in the context of how you express it throughout this album?
Because I love recklessly, and sometimes in the past, it's just left me empty. It's left me empty. And it's crazy because as much as when you're picking up the pieces, you want to point someone to blame at, it's wild because inevitably you end up looking at yourself in the mirror being like, oh bitch, this is your fault. Because you have to advocate for yourself because nobody is responsible for you but you, you know? So I've just learned that I'm like, I have to put up better boundaries, and I'm great at reading red flags now, and I'll stop a beige flag. Like, I'm just better. But because once I'm really good. I'm really, really good until I'm not. And then once I'm not, I'm at the mercy of whoever's heart I've been engulfed in. And that's a dangerous place to be. So now it's almost like I've accepted that I love that way. I understand. I'm just my passion. It's just a Latino way of loving. I don't know how, like, Gemini and Latino, it's a lot.
It's a mix. It's
a lot. So I've just accepted that this is the way I love. But because I know this is how I love, before I ever let anyone get over here, there's gonna be a million obstacles and a million little roadblocks where I'm like, is this person gonna be responsible with my heart when I get to that level? You know? So I feel like I'm better at it. Still working.
What are your red and beige flags? What is so Jessie Reyez, a guy's trying to get at you, what are you like, that's a yellow flag, that's a red flag on the play, I might not entertain this one?
Lack of follow through. if someone says they're gonna do something and they don't do it, how someone does one thing, they do all things.
That's real.
So if it's minor, if you said you're gonna move that bottle here in 10 minutes and then you don't,
Yes.
I just peep game and I'm like, interesting. Cause I love to be able to trust blindly who I love. I really love being in that space. I don't wanna ever go through a phone again. I don't wanna ever like,
Again.
I don't want to do that. And I've experienced relationships where I like wholeheartedly trusted who I was with for like 2.5 years plus, and I never went through their phone because I trusted them.
Yes.
So I know what that tastes like now. So that's what I want, you know? So the second I feel like someone shows indications that they're not trustworthy, I'm kind of like, why? I don't want to stress myself out yet. No.
I need you to hold me. Let me deep inside, breathe me in like a coffee. I'm more than drugs, more than morphine. Promise you, girl, you see more.
Every time I hear someone else speak of you, whether it's in interviews, etc., they've got glowing things to say about you. You know, and I heard the voicemail with Lil Wayne to get on the record. Like, talk to me about your relationship with Wayne, for example.
I don't remember, it was so long ago that we linked. I don't remember how it was that happened, but I just remember the second we started talking, it just felt like, you know, sometimes you just click with people.
Yeah.
And we clicked. It started on DMs and then texts and then voice notes and then voicemails and then records, and then it was cool because it all kind of hit the peak at the music video, which was the first time that we were able to collaborate in person after all these years, and it was just a vibe. He's just genuine and has been nothing but sunshine to me.
That voicemail, was that a real voicemail or did you recreate that?
No, hell yeah, it's real. I got so many that I had a lot to choose from because we were communicating voice notes a lot. I got some lit but we ended up using that one. There's one, oh my God, there's one, I can't wait to use it, maybe one day. But there's one where I had sent him a verse for like, I don't know, the second record that we did or something, and he sent me back a voice note, and it was like, I can't imitate him. He was like, Jessie, you killed it. Like, he went off for like 10 seconds, and that is prized. It's a prized voice note for me. Prized, because I was barring up. So to get that those kind of flowers from someone that's obviously such a solidified legend is a gift.
I love going down memory lane with you. Explain the title of the album. It's kind of, I don't want to assume that it's self-explanatory, but what does it mean when you say paid in memories?
It's a quick little reminder that as much as you could be paid in riches, paid in money, paid in the tangible, that it's all kind of irrelevant if you get to the top of the mountain and you're a miserable person. The sun won't matter, you know? The gold won't matter if your soul's shit. So it's a nice little reminder of that and permission to reap the benefits of everything I've sacrificed for. Because for so long I identified with being the underdog. For many years I'd write songs and that felt like big songs, and I'd lean away from them or I'd end up giving them away. I wasn't born rich either, so I had a funny relationship when I started making money. There was something in me that was like kind of adverse to it, you know? And there's a lot to unpack there, but I think the main thing that I'm moving forward with is just being more open and comfortable with success.
Yeah. What's your most expensive memory right now?
My most expensive memory, my truck.
Yeah?
Yeah, my truck. My first whip. I'd be making money and I wouldn't even spend it because I was just always working. Up until the pandemic, I never enjoyed the fruits of my labor. I'd been working as a full-time musician for years till at that point already, but I'd never stopped to enjoy it. I'd buy shit and enjoy it with like for family and for people I loved, but I was just head down working. In 2020, when everything stopped and all these tours got canceled, everything got frozen, it was the first time that I was forced into just like look around, like take a breather and realize that you haven't lived. I've been living on autopilot and I hadn't really enjoyed anything. So I started enjoying shit, and the first thing I enjoyed was my first truck.
One thing I love about the album is the versatility in sound. Whether you're interpolating Smashing Pumpkins on one record or bringing in cumbia vibes on another record.
Oh, come on.
Talk to me about why it's important to bring all of these cultures together in your sound.
Because I'm Toronto born. I come from a place that's so multicultural. It's so layered, and the thing that's beautiful about Toronto is that you almost get encouraged to wave your parents' flag, you know, and the Canadian flag. So I've always just been encouraged to embrace my rainbow, my layers. And I think that just shows through in my music too. And I've never been a fan of boundaries or genres or turtlenecks or bras or anything that feels restrictive. So I just love to be able to be free and mix and pull and create just freely. Cumbia does something to my system. Cumbia can make a plant move. it's just different. It's just different. And I have so many memories of my pops just playing these lit-ass records, these old school records too, like Grupo Nietzsche, Alquimia, Sonora Dinamita, and my dad playing guitar in the crib too, and learning these boleros. I'm really honored that I was exposed to that early on, and also my first language is Spanish. And the thing about Spanish music, when you're able to view both, and perceive both and understand both English and Spanish, you start to pick up that in Spanish, the literature and the songs, it's different. It's a different method of loving and of explaining that is heavier. It's like a wet bag. If this is the emotion, but it's dry. And in Spanish, it's wet. It's like it's more dense. And the thing is, if you try to translate it, and sometimes you could take a Spanish lyric that's so eloquent or so beautiful or so thick with passion and love and romance, and you bring it to English, and in English it runs the risk of becoming cheesy. But in Spanish, for whatever reason, it doesn't. It just has the facility, it has the freedom to do that. That morphed me into the kind of writer that plays right at the line, and I'm conscious of it. I'm conscious of being able to like push the line of palatable passion before it gets cheese. You know what I mean? And I can view it that way. I think that that's a gift that I got from being bilingual.
I love the way you put words together, by the way.
Thank you.
Palatable passion before it becomes cheesy. So when are we going to get some of that palatable passion in a full Spanish album? Is that on the horizon?
Maybe, if it's meant to be. If it's meant to be, it just takes me longer because I went to school in Canada. Like, I only spoke Spanish till the age of 5, and then I went to school and then I started learning English, as most kids of immigrants do. That's just the regular thing. So I didn't go to school in Spanish, so my vocabulary is much more colloquial when I speak, and then by default that makes me write slower in Spanish. In English, it's like, in Spanish, I think about it differently, and it's difficult because the emotion is still just as potent, but it's like writing with my left hand.
You talked in the past about opening for Billie Eilish on a Happier Than Ever tour, and said that being an opener is like climbing a mountain uphill. Talk about that experience.
Anytime you're opening, it's almost like you're putting on war paint before you hit the stage. And you just have to be prepared, and people aren't there to see you, you know what I mean? So you just, even if you're hitting a stage that might be yours, you're still there for a moment of war, and you have to win people over. And when you're opening, it's almost like they have more reason to be against you because you're an impediment to them seeing who they came to see. So it's just double, and you're like, all right, cool. And the objective is to, you have to just not cave. If they're saying this and not wanting to jam with you, and that's them winning, you have to not let them win. And you have to go out and be like, I just refuse. There's no way your energy is gonna dominate mine. And I go out every time I hit the stage. I have that mentality. I've done a few opening gigs in my career, and sometimes they're more difficult than others. And Billie's tour was lit. Everyone was really, really receptive. It's not like the war paint was. It's not like the fight to gain them over was that intense, because a lot of people were down and they were just open, and yeah.
But now when they're there to see you, it's got to be easier to tear the house down.
It's so much easier. You get spoiled. So you start at 200 rooms. That's where I started. And then you go to a bigger artist that might have rooms of like 1,000, right? And then from that 1,000, you're able to retain a small percentage of people that are like, oh, we mess with you. So now when you go on tour on your own a few months later or a year later, then you go to 300 cap rooms, right? And then you're gonna open for a bigger artist than that might have 3,000, and then you go here. And then again, you go up and down. And it's so funny because every time that you come back down to your show, you get so spoiled with love, and then you gotta get humbled again. And then you get spoiled again in a room that's singing just your songs back at you, and then you get humbled again. But it's a pretty good exercise to just be aware of what a gift it is to walk into a room of strictly supporters versus walking into a room where it feels like you need some more paint.
So when are we getting the tour? Have you announced?
Soon, 2025.
I got a question about every song on the album down there. So I'm gonna let you pick the last one by telling me right now, what is your favorite song from Painted Memories?
Today's Couldn't Be Me. Today's Couldn't Be Me.
Couldn't be me. Why couldn't be me?
There are some songs that sit in a certain pocket where I sing, where it's very, very effortless.
No one they daydream about in a suburban house.
But it comes out to the naked ear as if it was skill. But that's one of the ones where I could just close my eyes and give skill to my heart and go on autopilot, and it'll just come out thoughtlessly, but carefully. You know, carefully as in, like, obviously I care what I'm singing about, but I don't have to think about technique. It just comes.
Yeah, I love that. And I think people are gonna love that as well. That might be, I don't know, that might be another single, man. I love that record, man.
God knows.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing. Couldn't be me. Couldn't be me.
Ain't that funny? That's such an instigating ass sentence.
Listen,
oh, that's cool. Couldn't be me though.
Couldn't be me. I'm like, all right. Well,
yeah, you gotta square up after that.
I'm happy for you, happy for the album, happy that the fans finally have it because they've been waiting for such a long time.
I know.
Jessie Reyez, Paid in Memories is out right now. Thank you so much for coming back to MTV.
Thank you.
We love having you all the time.
Thank you. I
man.
love it here, man. Thank you.
We're gonna build you an office, a room here, just so you can come
Thank
kick
you.
whatever you want.
I like a hard mattress and a king bed. Please.
Duly, no, y'all got that? I bet, Jose, write that down. Thank you, man. I'm Dometi. This has been MTV with Jessie Reyez.